in earlier classes. Okay. All right. Om Badram Karne Vishranuyaama Devaah Badram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Stirairangaistuštuvagum sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastarksho Arishtanebihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. After some discussion on the place of Shastra Jnana, the place of practices, the place of one's own inner experience, how there is often some confusion in all these matters because of language also. We had a digression last time, but hopefully all of that was required, all of that was helpful. And in this seventh session of this Mundaka Upanishad classes, we shall pick up the Bhāshya portion again. As you know, we had started with the mantra, the mantra which said what the Paravidya is in the first place. Ata para yaya tadaksharam adigamyate. That was the fifth mantra. Then in the sixth mantra, the Rishi Angiraha, or call him Angiras, he actually points out what that Aksharam is. Aksharam, translated as imperishable, that which does not undergo any change, does not suffer any damage, does not, of course, die, does not become less or does not become more also. What is that Aksharam? Even those who know many mantras about that Aksharam may not know Aksharam itself. Therefore, knowing mantras, knowing even portions of Shankara's Bhāshya by heart would only amount to Shabda Rashi. Shabda Rashi means you just have all the right words probably, but you yourself do not know what they actually point to. In other words, the Shabdas, the right words that you are reciting or you are contemplating upon, haven't succeeded in removing your false body identification. Earlier it was said by Sri Shankaracharya, avidyayaha apayaha eva vidya. The removal of erroneous perception is the essence of right seeing, not just repeating any words. But at the same time, the last line that we read in the Bhāshya said this removal takes place through the words only. You hear the Shastra Shabda, you hear the Mahavakya, or you hear such Vakyas, such statements that reveal, and it is when you really understand that avidya goes away. So we have a very uh, puzzling situation. In somebody, just the words do the magic and the person is free of all error. That is enlightenment. And then another person, that is the majority, millions and millions, they also hear the words, they also, some of them even speak the words, some of them explain the words in a very impressive manner, and yet avidya apaya doesn't take place. Therefore, the practical side of this whole discussion boils down to just this much. When the mind is purified, when there is chitta shuddhi, when there is true receptivity, when we are not on any defense, when we are not knowingly or unknowingly holding something back. Therefore, certain mystics actually use the word vulnerable as something desirable. Normally, vulnerable is not a good word in some security contexts. Vulnerable means it, some place or some person can be attacked and there can be serious damage. Normally, in ordinary circumstances, lay usage in the transactional world, one has to be invulnerable, like the fort of a king is invulnerable. No enemy can, attack and break through that fort in the olden days. But see the difference in context. In the spiritual domain, mystics sometimes say what we need is utter vulnerability. What is meant is because of our long standing attachment to our personality, to an idea of who we are, to an idea of our being even sadhaks. As it is said, sometimes we fall in love with the hunting and we are disappointed if we succeed in the hunting, and let us say in the example of hunting we actually hunt out a tiger or a lion or some beast. It is said the pleasure is more in the hunting. We get attached to the hunting. Something similar is said when in human life people fall in love. Later on they say, oh, those days of romance were the greatest days. Once they finally marry or whatever, start living together and so on, they say, oh, this is nothing. So these are just analogies with their own limitations. In the case of our egoism, to be a spiritual sadhaka also can be a hang up. We don't want to let go of it. If God or Guru or some divine being were to come and say, okay, are you ready for enlightenment? I'm going to bring about enlightenment in a moment. Many of us would look left or right and say, can you give me a day? I want to finish a few things. So, apart from humor, there is a certain very strange scenario that we, as though, have a fort. We, as though, have strong walls around us. No matter how much scholarship we attain, no matter how clearly we even explain things to others, but in the depth of our heart, we are attached to being somebody. Being somebody in the material world, maybe, or if not, we are attached to being somebody in the spiritual world, being a scholar, being very knowledgeable, being, well versed in some Sanskrit or Veda mantras or this or that. To let go of all ideas of a certain personality, good in certain respects, is what is meant by being vulnerable. The highest purity of mind has this fragrance of utter vulnerability. Here and there, I would make passing comments how the path of wisdom, Jnana Marga, actually has close resemblance to Parabhakti, in that supreme, purest devotion. On the Bhakti Marga, the devotee on advanced levels says to the Lord, completely, it is completely your wish. Put me anywhere on the earth, in heaven, or in hell. wherever you want, you put me. And I don't even ask for moksha. I don't ask for anything, Lord. That is called supreme love. I just want to be in love of you. Such statements, such shlokas, such compositions are seen in the bhakti context too. But coming back to the jnana context, we once more would say that the Shabda does its wonder, the Shabda, the Vakya, the Vedanta statement will do its magic provided we are vulnerable, we are ready for that basic transformation. So that is the hitch. So, what is the dividing line between all the Shabda Rashi, which includes Upanishads, mind you, and the Paravidya, which is said to be something totally different, a cut above, a notch above, and that is how the earlier portion can now be wound up. Rishi Angiraha says all the Vedas, including the Upanishads, are Aparavidya only. And Paravidya is that insight in which Akshara is apprehended, Akshara is known. Alright, what is that Aksharam? What is that supreme truth? That is where the sixth mantra went. Hope all of you are taking a look at the words of the mantra, and then you have to see the Bhāshya too. The mantra went Yattadadreshyamagrahyam agotram avarnam achakshushrotram tadapani and so on. The Bhāshya now explains that mantra, which is a string of negations. Let me read line by line the Bhāshya, and to go over the commentary of Adi Shankara is a highly profitable exercise for your mind. Though we said finally you need to have highest purity of mind, we wish to add that to an extent that purity of mind also is facilitated by contemplation on these explanations. For when Adi Shankara, for that matter, any good teacher, points out to us the nature of our true self, then that understanding actually weakens our attachment to objects of the world or persons of the world. Therefore, yes, in some sense, Deva Upasana, that is, worship of God, or social service, or noble values in all our transactions, adhering to truth, being transparent, being open, doing what we say, and then reporting what actually happened, not something else. So there are so many values, right? As they apply to our daily life, they bring about the inner purification and sincere study of the Upanishads, of the Bhāshya by Adi Shankaracharya, also bring about a certain purification of the mind. Because in both places, let me say this and then proceed to every word of the mantra, in both areas of living a transparent and dharmic life and in sincere study of the scriptures, what happens is we get a taste of the inner happiness. When, for example, we really serve people more than the people who get some material benefit maybe from our side, we get such happiness in giving. The happiness in giving is very different from the happiness in amassing, collecting. So, more we realize, hey, I am so happy today in parting with what I was holding close to myself all these days. I did dana, I did charity, or I spent some time teaching somebody and took some pains to make him understand even some secular subject. So we gave our time, our money, our energy, etc. And though we parted with all that, rather than fear on top of the world. Likewise, friends, in the study of the Bhāshya, as we contemplate upon what Sri Shankaracharya says is our true nature, the mind becomes so calm, the mind becomes so quiet, and we experience some kind of uncaused happiness. We are very happy and we don't know why. So, in love of God, in Shastra Adhyayana, in Paropakara, in living an orderly life, there is a certain happiness which is not because of any external object nor because of sense pleasure. There is happiness in coffee, there is happiness in a sweet, that continues to be. But we realize nothing like the happiness that arises from dharma, from right living, from orderly living. So, with that, we take up the explanations that Adi Shankara supplies to the sixth mantra, Yattadadreshamagrahyam, and so on. He introduces Vaksyamanam Buddhau Samhritya Siddhavat Paramrishyate. This is a statement in passive voice. Whatever is going to be said, Vaksyamanam. Uchyamanam would be present tense. What is being said. But what will be said is Vaksyamanam. Vaksyamanam Buddhau Samhritya. Keeping everything in one's mind, Buddhau, in the Buddhi, Paramrishyate. It is being deliberated upon. It is being discussed. It is being analyzed. That is, more light is attempted to be thrown upon it. And then there is a very interesting word, Siddhavat. Angiraha speaks to Shaunaka, the learned student, as though this truth which he is pointing to is Siddha, means already realized, already present, already right before the eyes of Shaunaka. After all, Brahma is never away from us. Therefore, Siddha Vat. Vat means like. In one sense, Shaunaka hasn't realized this Brahman. So it is not Siddha for him. Therefore, Siddhavat, as though enlightened, as though realized, as though accomplished. It is justified on the basis that, though in one sense it is not realized, in another sense, if there is anything in the universe which is the closest to Shaunaka, the student, that is this Brahman. Everything else is a bit far. This is the closest, for this is one's own true nature. So that's the uniqueness of this Brahma Tattva. Siddhavat paramrishyate yattad iti. The comment especially comes along because the mantra starts with yattad. Yattad means that which is, or that, yattad. Generally, this expression is used to something to which we have already connected, to which we already have referred, while in a sense it is totally new. Something new is being said, and yet, yatta. All right, the words now come one after another. In modern Sanskrit, something that cannot be seen has to be called adrishya. But Vedic Sanskrit takes some liberty. Yattad adreshyam. And it's the job of the commentator to give to us the modern version. Even during Adi Shankara's time, Adreshyam was not proper Sanskrit. But Vedas have given that word. We don't change the Vedas. or Vedas have come from God. That's the traditional belief. Yat tad adreshyam therefore means yat tad adrishyam. So literally something that can never be seen. All this has tremendous significance in our own psychological behavior. Psychological means in our mind, we are never tired of seeking to see something. The world of advertisement exploits that. You and I go to watch or go to check our email, and on the home page of Yahoo or Hotmail or whatever, there is some picture, there is some symbol, there is some news, especially visual. We find some picture, whether it's a political leader or a cinema hero or heroine or somebody from the world of athletics, sports, etc. Something we see, and then forgetting that we need to check our emails, we click on that and we want to see, oh, really? So, this Olympic gold medal winner has arrived in such condition. Oh, what's going to happen to this famous political leader of the world? Oh my, and so on. We are so drawn to seeing something. And here it is said, sorry, Brahman cannot be seen. Now, in the materialistic world, yes. Even in the spiritual world, friends, think of it. When you and I sit, let us say, for the so called meditation, we hope to see, if it is Saguna Sakara Upasana, we hope to see Krishna or Shiva, Rama or Ganesha. Oh, how nice it would be if I have a darshana. If it is Nirguna Nirakara also, we are hoping maybe for some light, maybe for some sensation. This is an old bad habit of ours. Therefore, to say that Brahma is never to be brought within the ambit of something seen, especially through the sense organs. As you know, sense organs, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, are generally called Gnanendriya. Gnana plus Indriya. Another word is Buddhindriya. Acharya Shankara therefore writes, Sarvesham Buddhi Indriyanam Agamyam. So, though literally it is about eyes, by implication, it is called by Lakshana. Lakshana is implying, pointing to. So, by Lakshana Vritti, it is not just the eyes, but also Brahma, the supreme truth. The word used here is Akshara. This Akshara cannot be seen with eyes, cannot be heard with ears, cannot be smelled with nose, cannot be tasted with the tongue, cannot be touched by our skin. All the five buddhindriyas or jnanendriyas just fail, for by nature Brahma is agamya, cannot be reached. And then it is said, drishehe bahipravrittasya panchendriya dvarakatvat. Drishi is eyes, they are always going outwards, and all seeing and extending it, all perceiving through the indriyas is bahipravritta. It's going outward. Once there is this division between outward and inward, it is no more than Advaita Brahma. In Advaita Brahma, the outside and inside, up and down, right and left, all lose their significance. As Ishavasya would say, Yadantaha, Yadbahi, and so on. Tadantarascha, Tadbahyascha, such expressions come over there. So, Pancha Indriya Dvarakatvat, दृशेः बहिःप्रवृत्तस्य. Right. Drishi here is that perception, that seeing. Secondly, the very second word is after adreshyam, agrahyam. So this is where there is a whole lot of logical neatness in the Jnana Marga, on the path of wisdom. After saying none of the sense organs can grasp Brahman, the next expression is none of the organs of action can hold or can act upon this Brahman. Graha is to hold. Like there's a fruit on the table, I hold that fruit in my hand and then maybe after a minute drop it. So graha literally is to hold or drop, and now extend it to all the five organs of action. Agrahyam, karmendriya, avishayam. When you read, you have to see carefully whether it is short or long. Karmendriya vishayatvat or karmendriya vishayam. So then you recognize when you split it, it is karmendriya plus avishayam. So that is what is called sandhi. Karmendriya plus avishaya, karmendriya vishayam ityetat. As you know, the five karmendriyas are vak, pani, pada, payu, and upastha. Vak, speech, pani and pada, hands and feet, payu, excretory organ, and upastha, the generative organ. So organs of action also simply cannot have Brahman, which is Akshara, as their object. Avishaya. Vishaya means object, just as in my example, a fruit on the table can be object for my hands. Likewise, some kind of description can be the object of my speech. I can describe a morning sunrise in whatever language. So my faculty of speech can take the sunrise as its object, as its object, and then describe in prose or poetry. So each of the five organs of action have their respective objects. Aksharam is not an object of the karmendriyas. Agotram. Gotra is rather than just the formal, lineage which sometimes some people, give. When you go to a temple, the priest asks what gotra is yours, and then your mother, your grandparents have told you. So you say, I'm from such and such gotra. That is the descent. That is generations ago, some famous person or some distinguished person was your source. You have come down from that man or that lady. But here, philosophically, gotra means a mula, a source in general, need not be a person. Agotram, gotram anvayaha, this is the Bhāshya style. Gotram means anvaya, anvaya moolam. Multiple synonyms are given by commentators to make our study easier. Gotram, in the mantra itself, it has come in the Mula Upanishad. Anvayaha, as though that is not enough, Moolam. So Gotram Anvayaha Moolam iti uh, Anarthantaram. For a moment I got a jerk. I was expecting Arthantaram, then it is said Anarthantaram. So for a moment, though I am quite well versed in all this, got a bit jerk because Anartha means evil. But here it is nothing to do with that Anartha. Some of Bhaja Govindam has uh, Artham Anartham Bhavaya Nityam. So what is said here is Sanskrit has all this structure. These words don't have Arthantaram. don't have another meaning. Artha is meaning. Arthantaram is another meaning. Anarthantaram means they don't have another meaning, means all of them have the same meaning. In that sense, Gotram Anvayaha Moolam iti Anarthantaram. They don't have Arthantara, they have the same Artha, and therefore Agotram means Ananvayam ityartaha. To put in simple words, where has this Aksharam come from? You know, where has it come from? What is this Akshara? I have never heard about it. From where did it come? From Swarga, from Naraka, from some Brahmaloka? It has no source. Really, in a certain context, we would say everything has come from it in a certain context. Otherwise, we don't even admit, we don't even permit Brahma to become source also. It is not from any source. It is not source for anything. It did not come from anything and nothing comes from it. This is the final position. We'll see it. Ananvayam nahitasya moolam asti yena anvitam syat. The Sanskrit words have all this relationship. Anvaya means moola, source. Anvita means some object X is endowed with, is filled with, is permeated with. How would that be permeated with something? If something were its source, that source would be permeating. Just as you take something and one sip of it, if it's a drink, one bite of it, if it's a eatable, makes you understand, oh, it is sweet. That means there was sugar in the preparation of it, and that sugar has permeated, has pervaded that preparation. Likewise, if Brahma were to have come from somewhere, some source, let us say, that source would be present in the present condition of this aksharam. But nahitasya moolamasti yena advitam syat. Coming to the next word, avarnam. Varnyante iti varnaha. Varna, many of us understand right away as color. Because in some contexts, Varna can mean color. Shweta Varna, Krishna Varna, Rukma Varna, having the color of gold, gold colored, and Neela Varna, blue, Rakta Varna, red. So Varna is color too. But in a larger sense, Varna is anything that describes something. Varnyante iti Varnaha, Dravya Dharmaha. So any dravya, any material has its qualities, has attributes, such as sthulatva adayaha. It could be gross, it could be fat, bulky, it could be large, that is sthula, or it could be sukshma, very thin, very light, even hard to identify, subtle, gross and subtle. But Adi Shankara hastens to add, it can mean color too. Shuklatva. As we already mentioned, Shukla, Krishna, Pita, Neela, Rukma, colors. Avidyamanaha varnaha yasya tat avarnam. That which has no descriptor. We are driven to the wall, I tell you. The moment our mind, going by its old habit, wants to pigeonhole this akshara in a certain setting. Oh, I know. Moment the mind wants to say, I know, the mantra says, no, not that, not that. It is not so. In relationships, We have a tendency many a time when we hear somebody says, my name is so and so Bachchan. Immediately we say, he must be related to Amitabh Bachchan probably. So we know one famous Bachchan, right? So by the name we try to connect. But the mantra says no. Avarnam Aksharam. Avarnam Aksharam. No description is possible. No connection is possible. Now come a pair of words. One is Achakshushrothram. As personalities, you and I use the eyes, ears, etc. to know. But this impersonal true nature of ours doesn't have any organs of perception, neither eyes nor ears. Oh, in that case, should we think of that akshara as insentient? It cannot know anything at all because if it has no eyes or ears, how will it know anything? With eyes, one can know forms, colors. With ears, one can know sounds, right? Or one can know whether somebody is praising us or criticizing us. Na chakshu, na shrota. But Acharya Shankara adds Sarvajantunam Namarupa Vishaye Karane Chakshuscha Shrotrancha. They are instruments in order to know names and forms. Te avidyamane yasya. That is the literal meaning. This Akshara Tattva has no eyes or ears. All the same, just wait a little in this very Khanda of this Mundaka Upanishad. Pratama Mundaka, Pratama Khanda, first Khanda section itself, we are going to get a mantra, ninth mantra, where it is said about this Akshara, it knows everything. Yes, Sarvajnaha, Sarvavitu, it is said. It's going to be said. And Yes, Sarvajna Sarvavit ityadi Chetanavatva Visheshanatvat Praptam Samsarinamiva Chakshushrotradibhi Karanaihi Artha Sadhakatvam. Maybe some people have a habit of reading some upcoming mantra well in advance. Someone might read the ninth mantra and it is said there that Brahma knows everything. So they might imagine, then it must be having eyes and ears. To dismiss that kind of narrow vision, it is said, Tadiha achakshushrotam iti varyate. Varana, nivarana is dismissing. Our problem is habits. We have for long had this habit. If leave alone human beings or animals, if we went to some hall and next day our picture came in the newspaper, then don't we immediately conclude, oh, I didn't see anybody with the camera over there, but probably there were some cameras fixed on the wall at some height, isn't it? Because if our picture came next day in the newspaper, there must have been eyes of equipment. So where something is seen, where knowledge takes place, there have to be instruments. So we are so used to the instruments being required for knowledge, but the exception is Akshara. Further, to stress that, Acharya Shankara quotes a line from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Pashyati achakshuhu. Look at the poetic beauty of that sentence or phrase. Pashyati achakshuhu saha shrunoti akarnaha. This Akshara Tattva can see Pashyati achakshuhu without having eyes. Shrunoti, it can listen without having ears. Akarnaha. Pashyatya chakshuhu sashranotya karnaha. Shvetashvatara, chapter 3, mantra number 19. Ityadi darshana. Similarly, tad apani padam. having no legs, pada, and no hands, pani, and yet it goes everywhere. That is how elsewhere the mantras come. Some of these are reflected in Bhagavad Gita too. In chapter 13, we have, Sarvata Panipadam Tat Sarvatokshi Shiromukam Sarvata Shrutimaloke Sarvam Avritya Tishtati. And another shloka would say it is free of any organs. So apparently contradictory pointers are given. At some place it is said it has countless eyes and ears. Another place it is said it has no eyes and ears at all. So all this is to shake our habitual thinking and to help us remain as just pure awareness. So once it is said that it neither has eyes and ears, and through eyes and ears, other three organs of perception are implied, and it doesn't have legs or hands, other three karmendriyas are also implied and dismissed. The next expression nityam will come, but before that, Bhāshyakara says, Yataha evam, because it is so, agrahyam, it can neither be held, agrahakam, nor does it hold anything. In the case of the fruit, I hold the fruit, but somewhere else, I'm walking through a jungle and a huge creature hold me. So I hold something, case one, and some huge creature holds me. I am held. These are the two possibilities. Neither of them is possible. Agrahyam, agrahakam. No wonder in the second chapter of Gita itself, Lord Krishna dismisses both being held, that means becoming an object, or holding, becoming a subject. You have shloka like 19th shloka in chapter 2. Nayam hanti na hanyate. Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, this pure self in every one of us can neither be killed, that is becoming object of killing, nor does it kill anyone. Nayam hanti na hanyate. The war scenario, therefore the kriyapada verb used was han, to kill. Here it is to hold. So anything that is subject to being held or anything that can hold, becomes uh, vinashi, because it is agrahaka and agrahya, it is avinashi. Next word is vibhu. Vibhu means vividham bhavati, that which appears in countless ways. Vividham brahmadi stavaranta prani bedaihi bhavati iti vibhum. So it itself has no description, but anything that you and I know are all expressions of this Akshara Tattva. Sarvagatam. Sarvagatam literally is Sarva, anything, everything, Gata, gone. Gone everywhere. So, gone everywhere means pervading everything. Somebody, let's say a child, asks you, what is Akasha? What is space? Where is it actually? Would you not say, oh, space? There is no place where space is not. Space is everywhere. But the beauty of Akshara is Akshara pervades space also. It is one notch above even space. Akasha is extremely sukshma, but Akshara is more sukshma, more subtle than even Akasha. Therefore, the mantra shabda sarvagatam susukshmam. You keep looking at the mantra, even as we are dealing with the Bhāshya. The Bhāshya, the commentary, picks up words of the mantra one by one. Susukshmam shabdadi stulatva karana rahitatvat. The elements, even Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala and Prithvi, space, air, fire, water and earth, they are relatively grosser. In fact, compared with space, air is grosser. Compared with air, fire is grosser. Compared with fire, water is even grosser. And the earth is the grossest among them. Then a billion things come from them, all of them are even grosser. A philosophical explanation given to this something becoming gross is attributes adding. Akasha has the quality of sound. Air, that is Vayu, has sound and touch. Fire has sound, touch and form. Water has sound, touch, form and taste. And earth has Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha, smell also. So more you add quality, more gross something becomes. Other way, if you subtract, if you remove, right, various attributes, something becomes very subtle. People will blink. In every context, it is like that. If somebody has a big visible form, on top of it is wearing a coat, on the hat, and is holding a stick in hand, everybody takes note of him. But then there is somebody who is quietly in a corner and nothing very impressive about him. People would not know. So subtle means less noise. And this Akshara makes no noise, but it is the highest. Shabdadi sthulatva karana rahitatvat, says Acharya Shankara. Shabdadayo hi akasha vayuvadinam uttarottaram sthulatva karanani. I already explained it in English as Shabda with space and Shabda and Sparsha with Vayu, that is air, Shabda Sparsha Rupa with the third element. In this way, Uttarottaram. Uttara here is not north. Uttara here is not answer to a question. See, every word after all has a meaning based on the context. Uttara, Prashnasya Uttaraha, that is answer. And if I say, I am Dakshinaha, I am Uttaraha, that is direction. But here Uttara is later, further. So from Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala, Prithvi, when we go in that progression, the subsequent element has one more quality, one more attribute, and therefore to that extent it is more gross. Sulatva Karanani. And Akshara has none of these attributes. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. In Kathopanishad there is a mantra. Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam, and so on. Tadabhava Sushukshmam. And further, coming back to a mantra word, a word in the mantra, Kincha Tat Avyayam. Ukta Dharmatva, explaining it, having said that there are no attributes, no change is possible. I gave a very gross example a while ago. Somebody comes to a party, he is himself very obese, and then he has a coat, then he has a hat, then he has a stick in hand. So, more someone or something is gross. By taking that out, we can bring about change or we can add something. But here, nothing can be added, nothing can be taken out. Therefore, it is avyaya, changeless. Nahi anangasya swa anga apachaya lakshano vyaya sambhavati sharirasya iva. Anga means limb or part. Akshara has to be appreciated as something that has absolutely no parts. Something that has parts can be subjected to change. Either you add some parts or you take away some parts. But anangasya, ananga here is partless. Swa anga apachaya, removing some anga. Vyaya happens. It happens to our body. We meet with an accident and we lose a limb, then that is Vyaya, right? Na api kosha apachaya lakshana. Sometimes nothing happens to us, but our bank balance goes down. Acharya Shankara says that is also one Vyaya. Yatha Rajnaha. A king who has a wonderful treasury because of circumstances loses his wealth. Today we have so many economies badly damaged because of COVID. Lot of economic losses. That is the headlines in today's newspaper. In India, today's newspaper has all those GST related issues. So much of economic crisis. So that cannot happen to Akshara Tattva, for it has no parts. Last couple of lines. Napi gunadvarako vyayaha agunatvat. It has no limbs, it has no treasury or some kind of wealth, it has no attributes, and sarvatmakatvacha, it is everywhere. Being everywhere, oh, just a moment. Akshara is changeless, but our equipment are all full of change. Sometimes some technical issues come up. All right. So, in various ways, this is avyaya. Lastly, yadevam lakshanam bhutayonim. This is the source of everything that has come out. Paripashyanti. Wise people behold this imperishable truth. Bhutanam karanam prathiviva stavara jangamanam. From the earth, both hills, etc., which don't move, stavara come up, and rivers and living beings, they also come up from on the earth, from the earth. In this way, Atma Bhutam, wise people see this Akshara as their own Atma Bhutam, their own self. Dhiraha, Dhimantaha, Vivekinaha, those who discriminate the false from the true. Idrasham Aksharam Yaya Vidyaya Adigamyate Sa Paravidya iti Samudayartha. Samudaya, all these together, Samudaya is a group. All these together finally imply that where this Akshara is apprehended, is understood, that understanding is Paravidya. Not a amount of scholarship, not even knowing Upanishad mantras. That understanding, yayat adigamyate sa paravidya iti samudayartha. Let me pause here. Okay, time for some questions. And as we know in YouTube, the way it works is on the text box. So here, okay, I am shifting. Yes, Ravi Prakash has a submission. From Gotra, can we classify Sattva Rajas qualities? In a larger sense, yes, but otherwise, for Sattva Rajas and Tamas, specifically there is the word Guna. So Saguna and Nirguna. So in the present mantra, Gotra is taken as some kind of cause meaning Mula, where has this river come from? You say from that hill, that mountain, it has started flowing. Gangotri, Gomukh is the Gotra for Ganga Nadi. But sometimes in some larger context, these gunas have, caused something to come into being. One can say that. But otherwise, Gotra in this present context is some kind of original cause. Like science also tries to find out where this universe has come from. Maybe some original particles, original form of energy, something like that they have. Raja says, Varna means attributes, features. Yeah. So as it was said, Varna could be, in several ways. Dravya dharma, gross and subtle, or shukla and various colors. So the best word for Varna is descriptor. You describe something. How do you describe? Either by color or by height or weight or size and so on. All of them are Varnas. Does Akshara refer to formless God? Yes. Akshara refers to formless God, and Upanishads are concerned with the ultimate formless God with due respect to God with form. Upanishads do not call God with form as false, but Upanishads would say the ultimate truth is there is no form, no name. So Nirguna, Nirakara, Satya is put on the top. Okay, A2 user 1. If I, as consciousness, am everywhere, omnipresent, then why don't I know something like I know a few things? I don't know some other things. Why is this so? Yeah. Because your present identification is with these eyes and this mind and so on, you feel limited to only particular knowledge. Whereas, as per the Upanishadic revelation, if you were to realize your true nature, then in principle, all knowledge is available to you, which doesn't mean that you will actually be going everywhere, but all knowledge is. This question was asked to Nisargadatta. He said, within this body, a lot of things are happening, but it's not that every moment we are aware of everything happening. Whenever there is some disorder, some pain, we do come to know stomach pain or leg pain. So, for example's sake, the pain is given, but whether it is pain or pleasure, what is meant is when we need to know, we will know anything happening in the body. Likewise, when you rise in consciousness, when you need to know, you will know anything happening anywhere in the world. That capacity, that siddhi will come to you. So you are omnipresent, but what is blocking your access to knowledge anywhere is your strong identification and attachment to this body and mind, this personality. How to self evaluate our level of realization? Yes, the level of realization on a rigorous basis is not that multiple levels, either you are ignorant or you are enlightened. That is one way to look at it. But at the same time, we do not literally dismiss spiritual progress. So some teachers give us a very interesting formula, FIR. That is, FIR is a formula. Frequency, intensity, and restoration time. So you and I have negative emotions, anger, lust, uh, grudge, revengefulness, or depression, loneliness. We have some negative qualities, right? Negative emotions. If the frequency of these negative emotions rising and falling becomes less, if their intensity becomes less, I, and if their restoration time becomes less, that means Let's say somebody who, when he got angry, it was taking 5 days for him to get back to normal. Now, in 5 minutes, he comes back to normal. That is restoration time. So, reduction in frequency, intensity, and restoration time is a sign of spiritual growth. One is more mature, one is more mellowed down, one is more alert, one is able to see things from broader angles of view, and so on. Okay, Raja says audio is not clear. Sorry about it. Actually, today there was some unexpected trouble in the beginning. I was going on getting that box. Something is wrong. You want to finish or you want to try again? So I was trying again. And somehow, finally, I changed one source of internet to another and it worked better today. Too many typos. Please forgive me. That's okay. Suryakant Gaude, Pranam. Okay. I guess I have completed whatever was posted here. So I must say that sometimes at a given point of time you will have some concepts and things seem contradictory, but have patience, deliberate more, study more, then you will find that some concepts maybe you had not understood properly, therefore it looked so self contradicting or whatever. As you get things properly, you will find it is such a coherent, cogent system, a school of thought with no contradiction at all. Therefore, continued patient study is very much required. Oh, one or two questions have come. What is the meaning of rising in consciousness? Yes, in pure consciousness, there is no rise or fall. But our consciousness, could be having impurities or it could be free of impurities. So, just as physically somebody gets more healthy or gets sick, mentally also there is a scale. In consciousness too, consciousness, there is a rise in consciousness. In fact, somebody in Bangalore defined meditation as a rise, a vertical rise in consciousness. So pure consciousness has no rise or fall, but a person's consciousness can rise, and it includes a whole lot of things. So, Katyayani, I went to a drop knowledge rituals and explore the self. How do we connect this effectively if this is not clear? Yeah, we should not drop rituals or knowledge just like that because all of them play a role in preparing the mind. So you should do trial and error, some studies of other subjects, psychology or moral science, etc., and some rituals, whichever suit you. Actually, they help you to get better prepared for the Vedanta study. If you straight away say, I'm going to study only Vedanta now, only self knowledge, within a few days you will find everything looks so dry and boring. So that's how everybody has to have some upasana, some karma, and so on. Okay, last question for the session. A Muni is one who continuously chants Om in his heart. Is this correct? Now, it is a definition, it is not the definition. A Muni is contemplative. He is in Mauna, silence, and he is in Manana. Manana means reflection. So he reflects on deeper things of life. So when somebody is reflecting on deeper issues of life, right, rather than being superficial, and is able to stay silent, not silence of dullness, but silent and watching. There's no inner noise. Then one of the expressions of that person could be saying Om in his heart. So chanting Om in his heart is not necessarily the characteristic of a Muni. All right, let's pause here. Namaste. Best wishes to all. Om Rashibhyo Namah.